is Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome! It is time to continue my discussion on Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the second edition of AD&D, where while we last left off, we were talking about hirelings. We're going to finish up talking about paying for hirelings, and then talk about henchmen. Alright, last time we talked about paying them wages of hirelings and everything related to that. Guess what? There are more expenses to hirelings than just paying their wages. You're oftentimes going to have to provision from them, maintain their equipment, get them room and board in various places. There are lots of expenses that can occur deep within this system, especially if you're doing something like building a keep or a kingdom, where yes, then you're going to have a lot of hirelings you're bringing in to maintain this place. The fact is, that's why we're talking about poaching people from a kingdom, because guess what? There are chances that you're going to be making your own kingdom. Now granted, you could always have taxes to maintain a system, especially if you have citizenry, which isn't technically employed by you. But usually, this isn't enough to maintain a kingdom. Now there are other things you can of course do to supplement this, but for adventurers, the main way is to, well, adventure. Go out on quests and adventures, gather treasure, come back, pay for the kingdom, pay for the keep. That's the easiest way to do it. And the fact is, you're going to have to make sure to maintain this, because if you're hiring on mercenaries and you're not paying them, they're not going to fight for you. Also, if you're not providing stuff for peasants to a degree, guess what? They might revolt. And there are other things that could occur. Tradesmen may refuse to do business with you. There are lots of things that occur if you cannot maintain the system. Basically the money systems of your keep. And again, general taxes usually isn't enough. Usually, depending on who you're hiring and who you have as the citizenry. Alright, let's move on from hirelings. Let's talk about henchmen. So your PCs at one point in time may say to themselves, you know what, I could use a henchman. You know why? Henchmen are great. Which is accurate. Henchmen are an excellent tool. Henchmen encourage role-playing. Henchmen are an opportunity for your players to role-play more, to interact with both each other and an NPC in such a way that drives storyline. The thing is, you as the dungeon master are going to have to determine when it is appropriate to place a henchman within your game, and how you're going to put them in there. It's up to you to determine that when, if, all that details about how henchmen will be integrated into your game. And once you make these determinations, it is then up to you to basically place them into the care of the world you're building. Henchmen are different than hirelings because A, you get to order them around a lot more, but B, oftentimes they're confidants, friends, deep associates that you have important connections with, that your PCs will have a connection with. That PC A is going to be connected in such a way to henchman A that they have this deep connection between the two of them that they are developing and bonding between. So, now that you've determined that you are going to allow your PCs, your players, to have henchmen, it's going to be completely up to you when you feel is appropriate for them to have it. The major thing you're going to have to look for is role-playing. Because henchmen are a role-playing tool, you're going to have to look to your players and see when they are role-playing their characters to an appropriate degree that you feel is they're doing a great job. That they are expressing their character, making it unique, making it the character they described and wanted to do, and playing it up correctly. Now, there isn't really a true correct way. It's basically, I build something, I give some descriptions about something, I act to that appropriately. I basically, as a player, have come up with a basic personality, basic background, and I'm acting how my character would, appropriate to that. I can take the information I determined and play it correctly. Play it the way I built it, rather than playing the way I as a person would do it. See? They've learned to role-play their character. Once you do that, then you're ready. Well, then your player is ready. Hand them off a henchman. Now the thing is, each player may be ready at a different point in time. And so it's going to be completely up to you when you're going to give them those henchmen. It's also up to you what kind of circumstance it is that's going to gain them these henchmen. Henchmen aren't just gained very easily. Again, they're oftentimes friends and associates. So it's a very easy way to find someone that will definitely be joining with your players. It's just a matter of figuring out those exact timings and including them into the storyline to put them in there that this character is being handed off to your player, and then your player, now that they've learned to play themselves, and appropriately play this character and play this NPC henchman you've handed them, that he's able to play both of them. Because guess what? One is your primary character, one is your secondary little NPC henchman character. You're going to be playing with both of them, because basically you're controlling the henchmen, but you have to do it right and use them separately as two different characters. So this henchman, you don't want it to be a cardboard cutout, you want it to be an actual person. Now, once my DM has decided to grant me the hireling, he'll have 2 copies of that hireling's character sheet. One with all the information for himself. A second one with all the information I need as a player. This won't include a couple of key details, things about background, things about like alignment, a few other bits of information that the player doesn't need to know about this henchman. Only the information that will be needed to be provided will be given to them. You'll also have some kind of basic description, maybe a little bit of information about their personality, and then your player will be able to play this henchman. And if they have any appropriate questions, you as the DM will have all the other information. You're going to have the full bits of personality, the full background, everything about the description. Of course, we've scared the description, but I have all this information, and I should be ready to answer my PC. Oh, like they're asking, would my henchman act this way? And I, as the DM, could go, yes. Or I could say no. Or I could say, well, depends on the circumstance. If it's this, then they'd act that way. If it's this, they'd act that way. Things like that, that I can define or give the information appropriate to that player how to use this henchman. Now, it is very important to note that that background that you've built for your henchman has another use to it. I can build adventures out of it, because I have the bond between henchman and player. If something happens at the henchman's background that leads to a story or adventure that brings the PCs into it, that's a great excuse for it. This person they're bonded with has some kind of problem that they're dragging the PCs in to be involved with, and they already have a connection to it. It's a great excuse for an adventure or a quest or something else that's bringing the PCs into it. Now, it is also important to note that your henchmen should be lower level than your players. Why? Because if they're equal or greater level, there's a chance they will steal the spotlight. The fact is that, yeah, maybe a lower level character could get lucky and do something awesome that will help save the day, but that's luck. That's like I shoot an arrow and I somehow manage to hit that thing in the eye and it kills it. It's not that, oh, I cast this awesome level spell that I would have to have been level equal to the PCs in order to cast and manage to kill it. The fact is, by making them lower level, you're reducing the chances for them to steal any kind of thunder from your players, because they are lower level. Again, luck might be on their side, but that's different than actually taking over the position of awesomeness that your players are going to want to do. They're going to want to be the cool people in the group. Now, granted, because your henchmen will be traveling with their PCs and gaining levels too, they might catch up in level to the PCs. When this happens, have them leave. That henchman now goes out and quests on their own. They've learned all they need to learn from the PCs, and they're ready to adventure on their own. Your PCs, more than likely, will once again encounter them in the course of their stories. They're going to be reoccurring. They're still friends with the PCs. It might just be to share stories. It might be that, oh, I ran into this adventure here, and I am busy doing this. I can't help it. Why don't you go check it out? There are a lot of reasons to once again meet with their henchmen compatriots, their former henchmen compatriots, to bond with them once again, and basically get information from them. But that's it for today. I first finished the little bits of detail about paying your hirelings, when I really talked about paying for your kingdom when it's filled with hirelings. Because guess what? There's a lot of bills there, and taxes alone might not handle it. You might need a circumstance where you have to go out adventuring for money. You might. Then I talked about henchmen, a special type of NPC that basically your players run. When your players have appropriately learned to roleplay themselves, roleplay the characters they designed, they are ready to take over the role of a henchman and roleplay them at the same time. They're ready to make both of these characters individuals set within your world. And the fact is, there are some rules to these henchmen, both giving them out and what they're going to do, and what your PCs will know about them, how much your PCs will manipulate them. In the end, they are a very important role-playing tool that you can easily use and integrate into your game. In the next episode, we're going to finish talking about henchmen and then move on to social status. Basically, the standing of your players within the world itself. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you would say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows support for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon. Link description below. There's some great rewards there. It helps to grow and improve the channel. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.